The economy is collapsing. Stagflation is at an all-time high. And you just lost your job to an android. So when you discovered an opportunity to work as a land contractor for the up-and-coming Sons of the Forest construction industries, you hopped aboard the helicopter without even a second thought. Granted, there was no interview process, the orientation was only a few hours long, and they didn't exactly explain why the area you were headed for is called Maneater Island. But how bad could it really be? I mean, you did survive 6 weeks in Vermont after all. Well, that's a little ominous, but at least this guy also survived and... I mean, I'm sure he's okay there. He just needs to rest and... Okay, no need to panic. You just need to safely... Today is just not your day. Oh, wait! Isn't that a Sons of the Forest executive? You stumble to your feet, trying to make sense of everything that just happened and hoping to find survivors after the chaos that just ensued. Oh, thank God, Calvin also survived. Surely he'll be able to... well, at least he's ready for middle management now, so that's good, I suppose. Despite that, you and Calvin are not going to lose sight of the mission. At $40 an hour, in this economy, you'll raise this beautiful island to the ground if you have to. Despite his, situation, Calvin actually helps out quite a bit, and you make steady progress on your first Sunbucks development. However, it seems like the locals were not too happy with having their property values raised, and sent a rather excessive message to show it. But fuck that! They might be happy eating boiled deer meat for life, but you've got some moolah to make, baby. So you push on, ignoring their veiled threats, until one day, the local homeowners association eventually decides to make contact with you. Finally, some reason and normalcy around here. Surely you can all come to an agreement, and maybe they'd even like to work for you. What in the ever-living fuck is wrong with these people? You try reasoning with them, but your pleas for inspiration fall on deaf ears. So you show them how far a struggling American is prepared to go for $40 an hour. That's right, losers. You're bringing civilization to their doorstep, and they will comply, either through capitalism or through carnage. The warring continues, and they keep throwing their grunts at you, but the chaos has become a daily part of your life now, and you're certain that nothing can surprise you. Oh my god, what in the ever-living fuck is that thing? Okay, you need to stay calm. At least she's more afraid of you than you are of her. Wait a second, isn't that Virginia, your supervisor? But what the hell did these freaks do to her? You try showing off whenever she's around, hoping to get a promotion. But like all supervisors, she panics and flees at the mention of a raise. You go back to the daily humdrum of your job, but the boredom is starting to kick in now. I mean, would anyone really notice if you explored for just a little bit? So you go spelunking for a short while, dodging the angry locals whenever possible, and straight up murdering them when it's not, until you eventually come across a boarded up cave. This is just the kind of excitement you so desperately needed. So you head inside and slowly start to realize why they called it Maneater Island. But mama didn't raise no bitch, so you push deeper in until you eventually come across some rival Nestle execs. At first they seem harmless, mostly coveting the underground water, but one of them suspects you're here for their supply and things get violent quick, forcing you to fight your way through them. This is exactly the kind of explosive action you needed today. You press onwards, thinking about how barbaric everyone here is, and wondering why there's such a lack of civilization. Oh my god, you were completely wrong. You thought this whole island was stuck in the Dark Ages, but they literally have Discord mods down here. Just what the hell is going on this island exactly? Confused and bewildered, you push deeper into the cave until eventually finding a sick-ass rope gun before fleeing to not risk management docking your pay. Back on the job, the attacks become even more consistent now, and you're struggling to get any work done. So you relocate to another portion of the island and start building a luxury apartment to show the locals that you're not trying to ruin their housing, but rather to help solve their growing population problem, since they so adamantly want to cull their population by your hands. However, the monotony starts to creep in again. Fighting a handful of bumpkins a day just won't cut it anymore. No, like a good son in the 1840s, your heart yearns for the mines. Screw the paycheck. You need adventure and violence now more than you need a living wage. You're on a warpath now, frenzied by the death and destruction you leave in your wake. It's just you versus them, and unlike you, they're not getting crunk off of trademark-free energy drinks and magic mushrooms. This is exactly the kind of action you needed. Who cares if you lose your job? You finally found your destiny, culling the weak and the greedy. Surprisingly though, you get a call from HR, and instead of getting your ass chewed out, they sound ecstatic. You see, all of your carnage has made your competitors start to pull out of the island and drastically raise shareholder value. So they tell you to continue what you're doing and hang up before you can even ask for a raise. You are ecstatic. Sure, you might have dipped your toes into cannibalism once or twice, and are probably incapable of ever re-entering society again. But who cares? You're getting paid to do what you love, and that's all that really matters. You continue on your journey of anger and sadism, channeling your inner doom guy as you do, but still occasionally building from time to time to maintain some sense of humanity. And then, because this island wasn't insane enough, you come across a literal fucking spaceship hidden deep underground. How it got here and who built it is a mystery to you. But you find a shiny object aboard it and are unable to control yourself. What sort of mysteries is it hiding, and why is lightning so attracted to it? Don't know, but you can tell that it's important, so you decide to clear your thoughts the only way you know how. After some deep reflection, you realize it clearly has something to do with all of those dead cultists you've been seeing around the island. Maybe it's even related to that supposed anti-aging video you heard on one of your delves before. Spurred by your own curiosity, you investigate the island with greater scrutiny now, until you eventually uncover the truth. They were so wrong. It's not the Fountain of Youth. No, those deranged lunatics somehow built a machine that turns ordinary people into Ubisoft execs. And you've got a piece of it in your hands. How it works, you don't know. But you do know that you have to put an end to this madness before the island goes beyond saving. And so, yet again, you've shifted your ambitions. You're not just doing any old work now. No, you're saving humanity from the brink of destruction. At first you tried to brute force it and work even harder at cutting their ranks down. Sadly, like a clueless nun in a brothel, you're not doing anything to stop the population problem. You need to step your game up. But first, you have to bling your shit out in gold. Saving the day means nothing if you can't auriform while doing it. Once you're dripped out, you decide to look for the source of all this madness, and your investigation eventually takes you to the heart of the island. Once inside, you feel a wriggling discomfort in your head. You can't quite explain it, but you know it's unnatural, as though your thoughts are constantly repeating themselves. Unfortunately, there's no time to dwell on it, so you push onwards until eventually hitting yet another roadblock. Literally. Forced to improvise, you decide to put the Ubi subject to use and create even more drip for yourself in what is quite possibly one of the hardest moments in gaming history. One last stand between you and the island's dying reserve of executives. This is it. Microtransactions versus macroaggression. And oh boy, does it make you Ubi hard. It's a symphony of violence and you're the conductor. Flesh meets steel, steel meets flesh, and you can't do anything but revel in the chaos. Leaving nothing but carnage at your feet, you return to your CEO's private bunker to put a stop to this lunacy once and for all. So you descend into hell and fight whatever remains of the island's human resources department before eventually coming face to face with the CFO of your rival competitor. The fight is long and they're giving it all they have, but you're so sick of it all that you refuse to lose. Eventually, After a long and arduous showdown, you emerge victorious and rush onwards. You eventually come across a box of solid gold, and once inside, things get real wacky. You feel that awful feeling in your head again, before seeing a vision of the perfect utopia.
This could be us if we just sold a huge portion of our company to a Chinese gacha game industry.
You think to yourself as the vision slowly fades. That was weird, but weirder still, your thoughts are really starting to loop hard now. Your coworkers urge you that it's time to leave the island, and everyone flees, but it's becoming increasingly harder to think of anything new. Clearly, you're starting to be influenced by the UB subject, and you realize you absolutely have to get away from this nightmarish hellhole. Eventually, some helicopters come to retrieve you, and you're just happy to be able to collect your Oh my god, it can't be. In a last-ditch attempt at revenge, Ubisoft sent one of their main shareholders to stop you from leaving. Annoyed at their ingenuity, you throw everything you have at him before you blow his shit to smithereens. Having dealt with the threat, you board the helicopter, flee the island, and put in some serious PTO to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Virginia gets an operation to fix what wasn't broken, and somehow, some way, you both started an off-screen office romance. Calvin actually did get promoted to middle manager, and you all get to enjoy your moments of peace and bliss as you get ready to drive off into the sunset together. As you're celebrating, you can't help but think about how the economy is collapsing, stagflation is at an all-time high, and you just wait. Fuck!